When you were talking about going to the doctor when you were a child, and that this is a very disturbing story, but I want you to try to explain it to people, how people were dying in these hospitals and rats would eat the eyeballs of the people who were dying, and children who were starving would eat the rats. And then the children would die and the rats would eat the children.
Yeah.
Explain what this was like, that you how did you see this?
Well, I mean, seeing that the bodies on the streets like everyday thing. It was
Where were the bodies? Like just laying around on the streets?
So they are floating in the rivers, and then they also train stations somehow had a lot of dead bodies because North Korea is very cold, and there's a train waiting area, and North Korea has one train go to one distance like once a month, and like here it would take like 1 hour to go the other place. In North Korea, it take a month at least to go because there's no electricity, and sometimes people have to push the train.
They have to push the train.
Yeah. Traveling in North Korea is an unbelievably difficult thing within North Korea. So, anyway, so in train stations, that's when people die mostly. And in North Korea, the hardest thing as a child for me is that when my mom goes away to find food, we don't have we don't have phones, we don't have letters. If I say goodbye to her, I don't know when I'm gonna see her again or if I'm ever gonna see her again, because she could have killed and like raped and starved. You just never know how to find people. So in the morning when you go to walk in the train station, they just put the piles of the dead bodies, and they're all like become rigid, right? They're almost like wood, pile them on and taking away. And but the thing is, for me, I didn't even know the word compassion. Like nobody told me you have to feel bad for it, because for me it's like fish in the water don't notice the water, right? Like that. It was like something every day I saw as a child.
So you never went days where you didn't see. This is a normal thing to see dead bodies.
It was every day as like normal as like breathing the air right now. And one thing that I still remember is my sister and I was walking by the well. Like in North Korea, we don't have a switch. We don't have running water, obviously. We have to go to well or river to bring the drinking water. And there's a young teenage boy, I think, lying down, and his intestines coming out of his back. When you're really malnourished, that thing all opens up. You got zero fat. Every hole all opens. And you see dogs looking at his organs coming out. And he was still somehow conscious, begging for food at the time.
He was begging for food while his organs were hanging out of his body.
Yeah. And I don't know why he was pants were off. And I felt nothing. That still haunts me till this day. I don't know how I felt nothing at that point. And that just looked horrible. And because it's just the fact that he's alive and so much flies flying by on his organs, and how he's somehow consciously begging for food. And I didn't feel anything.
You felt no compassion?
No.
It was just normal?
Yeah. So that was daily life thing. And then in the hospital when I was 13 years old, my parents took me to hospital because I was a bad stomachache. And then we don't have X-ray machines. We don't have MRI, none of that. Just doctor rubs your belly, and then he says, "Oh, we need to operate on her." I think her appendix were bursting or something. So that afternoon they cut me open without any anesthesia. But it's normal thing. People in North Korea operation without anesthesia. But the chances of you going to surgery is a lot higher for you getting infected because we don't have penicillin. The nurse is using a 1 needle to inject every single patient. So who do you know what the other person has? You get from actually more sick by being in the hospital.
Right.
And this is where we don't, of course, have an indoor bathroom for the patient. We have to go outside. And in between there's a piles of dead human bodies. And that's when I was seeing this, somehow rats eating human eyes first, for some reason.
Because they're probably soft and easy to eat.